Good morning, everybody, and welcome to this edition of Above the Fold. I am here today with the managing editor of the Vista, Miss Katie Stanley, doing a brilliant job, just as all of our Vista reporters always do on their stories. Katie, you had a story this week about the education preparation system here at UCO going into decline. Kind of give us an overall view of what you found.
Okay, so the educator preparation program has seen a decline over the last 5 years here at UCO, and that decline has been about 20%. Actually, from 2012 to 2016, the education program declined about 20%. That's from about 1,580 majors to 1,321 majors, and that's according to the 2016-2017 fact book here for UCO. We don't have updated numbers on those.
Okay.
That fact book hasn't come out yet, but it should come out later this month.
Okay, I got you. And you talked to several people here on this story, most obviously dealing with education, and you talked to James Matchell. He is the dean of the UCO's College of Education and Professional Studies. What did he have to say? He said it could have been a mix of things causing this. You know, nobody really knows because there hasn't been a survey released yet, and we will get into that here in just a moment. But what did James Matchell have to say?
Right. He said it's probably a lack of funding, depressed salaries, small classrooms, and an overall lack of funding for supplies. He's just saying it's kind of a mixed bag right now.
Sure.
But they are doing some teacher recruitment programs to kind of try and combat this, where they're going to high schools and recruiting to those students.
Okay, and also, I know he did say there isn't really any data out there that kind of shows what this has done for emergency certifications and things like that, so that is also still to be determined. Nobody's really sure about that. Also, you talked to Mr. Brian Duke, who is the assistant dean for the same College of Education and Professional Studies, and he did talk about some survey numbers. What did you find out there?
Yeah, so we found out that a couple of years ago they used to do a survey when students would leave the College of Education and Professional Studies. They would send them a survey to wonder why. And so they found that there were typically 3 reasons that would happen, and it would be, they didn't realize what was going to be involved in teaching, and they also were concerned about pay, and
They didn't really want to work with children, right?
Right, they didn't really want to work with children.
Yeah.
And, so those 3 things is what they typically found, and so it was kind of oversaturated, so they quit doing those surveys. So it wasn't really giving them a look into what they're looking for here with this type of information as far as a decline would go.
Oh, okay, so basically it was just the same thing over and over, so it was kind of useless to kind of keep doing the survey. And this really hits home for me because I have a really good friend of mine who I grew up with who is in the education program here at UCO, and he's talked to me about it, and he's thought about, leaving, going to a different major. He's a history education major. He wants to teach history, big history guy, as am I, And it's a really difficult thing to get into, considering in the spring, just a few months ago, we have teachers walking out. They did get about a $6,000 pay raise, but most teachers said that wasn't enough. They wanted more. And there's a lot in these stories that talk about teachers don't really feel respected. Also, that's a huge deal, teachers not feeling respected, because they're the people that are educating our youth, and those are the kids that are going to be growing up and getting into politics, getting into the world, getting into the working world and things like that. Also, one last thing here, you talked to Miss Susan Scott. She's a professor for the College of Education and Professional Studies. And there's a lot of things they're doing to try to recruit students to go into these programs. What did you find there?
Yeah, so they're heading up a lot of these recruitment programs so that way they can get students from high school more interested in the teacher program. They think that this will help with our decline as well as the alternative and emergency certification numbers that we're seeing. Okay,
that's good. That's great. Great story, Miss Katie Stanley. Brilliant, very in-depth. Thank you so much for tuning in to this edition of Above the Fold. Again, I am Austin Brissett, your host, here with the managing editor of the Vista, Katie Stanley. Thank you so much for tuning in.